Well, this is Sue Boyer talking on the Zoom meeting here. I am the president of the board of the Friends of the Oak Park Conservatory, and I'm calling the meeting to order right now. We welcome you to our 35th annual meeting. We have a number of things to do tonight, so we're going to move right along with our agenda here. And now that I've called the meeting to order, I'd like to also recognize all of the board members that have worked so hard this year. And I'm going to go through them very quickly. Next year, we promise we'll have little pictures available, although some of you are on the meeting, so people can see you. You could raise your hand as I call your name. Rebecca Callahan is our treasurer. Kayla Chase, I know, is working on the Zoom tonight, and she's our membership chair. Carol Dudzik is one of our older members, and she worked very hard on the Personnel Committee this year. Carol Einhorn, our secretary. This is her first year on the board, I believe, and she's been doing wonderful work keeping us on task. Bonnie Engel. Bonnie is in charge of Uncorked, and she manages to get 4 of those programs right off the ground every summer. Kathy Ferrito is a newer member, and she's been working with Sarah Nooner, who is our communications chair, and Judy Clem, I believe, on communications. Mary Kay Menahan is our person who really knows more about what's going on in the politics world than we do, and helped to clue us in on a number of things that have moved us forward. Sarah Nooner, I mentioned before, our new communications chair. Mary O'Kersey. She is a photographer. She works a lot in the Cheney Garden. And by the way, there's a big article on the conservatory, and there's Mary right in the front page. So you'll see her there. Linda Smith, who is our education committee chair, and Inga Simmons, who is our vice president and chair of the nominating committee. Jeff Stewart, who is chair of the funding development committee, and Barbara Stratton, who's one of our older, longer, I guess I should say, board members, who's been on a number of different committees, including education. So that's our whole board, and I want to thank them all for all the hard work they've done this year. We are going to begin the meeting with some comments from me. I have 5 to 7 minutes, and I'll try to hold myself to it in case the trap door opens and I disappear, because I know we have a lot of things to accomplish tonight. And the Friends really have accomplished more than we ever thought possible in the past year. You should have received an annual report from us for 2020. I hope that you will review it for some of the details of our accomplishments. Sarah Nooner, as I mentioned before, our new communications chair, did a great job on it. We want to thank you, Sarah, for that. Judy Clem, our executive director, and Patty Staley, our director of horticulture, will also add comments to my comments, I'm sure. So to survive the COVID pandemic required something like a lot of adaptation. And I would say adaptation with a capital A. It enabled the Friends to continue our mission to promote community interest in the Oak Park Conservatory, to offer educational, recreational opportunities, and to support projects that benefit the conservatory. But you might ask yourself, how did we manage to survive when many other nonprofits faded away? Well, let's first look at programs. The Friends became more flexible and creative, allowing us to maintain connections with our members, volunteers, donors, and other community friends. We initiated approaches that will forever change the way we meet our mission. We use Zoom to facilitate more frequent member learning events, from composting to planting bulbs, and not to mention keeping our meetings going as well. Our educational offerings filled fast, were free, and brought in new members and friends who were ready to learn. We had presenters who were master gardeners, known authorities, and particularly our horticultural staff as well. Prior to the conservatory bulb sale, for example, there was a program on how to plant fall bulbs. We believe no one who attended this program would have planted the bulbs as my daughter did, as deep as they grew tall. She dug lots of 12-inch holes for those daffodil bulbs Needless to say, no daffodils were in sight this spring. Well, some of the children's programs, such as Exploration Table and Dig It, were put on hold. We began weekly story hour and moved our toddler exploration program to an online format. Linda Smith and her educational committee did a great job getting that off the ground. Even our popular Uncorked events continued in a limited fashion as we adapted to the CDC and village COVID guidelines for last summer. This year, the Taste of Uncorked is almost back to full capacity. And by the way, we'll have a little commercial break here to tell you that there are a few tickets left for June 25th. Make sure you hop on it tonight and get those tickets bought up. Well, I'd next like to move on to our financial resiliency. None of this programming would have been sustained without our financial resiliency. So we also altered our funding initiatives during the COVID pandemic. With terrific support from the Conservatory horticultural staff, we had a very successful plant sale, which was migrated totally to online format and strongly supported by our members and the community. This indirectly benefited us as memberships rose and our donor base increased. Using the same format, our 2021 plant sale was even more successful. We were also worried about our annual appeal, and we actually anticipated that we might not get as much as we would hope for. And so we kind of lowered our goal for this year. However, with Judy Clem's marketing expertise, more intense mailings and communications, and an earlier start, we actually raised 32% more than our anticipated goal and gained 50% more donors. Not only were we able to raise more funds than expected, but thanks to board members Mary Kay Minahan and Jeff Stewart and Treasurer Rebecca Callahan, we were awarded a payroll protection loan from the government, which helped us protect our staff salaries. And then finally, Judy Clem also received a $2,500 grant from the Future Philanthropist group at the high school. It's a group of high school students mentored by the Community Foundation. This grant will help to support our bus program to bring children in from neighboring communities once school is fully opened. Our ability to remain financially sound helped us to support several projects at the conservatory. Restoration of the historic door entry, renewing the Poly House, and hopefully the return of the bees, and especially the new musical bells and flowers and beehive hut in the Discovery Garden. This is probably more than $30,000 worth of help that we gave to the conservatory. We also are fortunate to work with great people. We have a great overqualified part-time staff. Judy Clem, Andrea Long, I knew I was going to blow her last name, and Nancy Silver and Adrian Iyer. The last two people have moved on to other professional opportunities, so we are now currently looking for a new volunteer and event coordinator. And so if anyone is interested out there, make sure you contact Judy Clem. We have an engaged board, and I wish I could tell you about each one of their efforts a little more thoroughly, but time is limited, and a very supportive conservatory staff and director. In summary, this past year forced us to try new approaches to keep people connected to the conservatory, to bring in funds to help us support our mission, and to maintain our community gem, the conservatory. One thought I would like to leave you with is that when I was in grad school, I had a professor who once told us, you have three things to offer in life: time, energy, and money. Use what you have the most of. Whether you do it by sharing your time with FOPCON, your money by donating to us, or your energies in keeping our programs going, thank you to all of you for supporting the Friends of the Oak Park Conservatory.
Very nice, Sue. Thank you. That was so great. I'm going to turn it over to Patty Staley, our Director of Horticulture at the Conservatory, and she will share an update on things happening at the conservatory for us.
Thanks, Judy. And yes, very nice, Sue. So many great points. You forget everything that we do throughout the year. But welcome everyone tonight. It's a nice small group. I feel like I know most of you. So it's good to have you on here and to be able to give a quick update about the conservatory. The conservatory is open it's been open now for some time, but full capacity limits. So we are back to pretty much normal at the conservatory. No reservations are required to visit. We're still filtering our visitors in through our front doors, which has, one of the learnings through COVID and changes that we had to make has worked well for us, having the receptionist allocated in what was the gift shop and having that check-in right when you walk in our front doors. Where visitors will be greeted with our receptionist there. We are following currently, as we always have throughout the pandemic, the local and state guidelines. So masks are optional. If you are vaccinated, we do encourage masks for, of course, our unvaccinated guests. And then just to mention, the same is following suit for volunteers. So as long as volunteers are vaccinated, they're welcome to come and not wear a mask unless they're facilitating programming for children under the ages of 12 who we know is not vaccinated at this point. So, but we have been very busy. It's hard to believe it's middle of June already. I feel like once the end of June gets here, summer just goes so fast. But we've been busy with daily visitors. Our day camp started the other week ago, as well as just general day camps from the neighborhood and the Oak Park community walking here and bringing their groups of children to walk through the conservatory, enjoy the Discovery Garden, visit with the parrots, as we know they like to do. And rentals have picked up at a nice pace. One thing we're excited about this week is we've bought back our children's birthday party packages. So people are now able to book online to celebrate their children's birthday party at the conservatory beginning July 10th. Those packages are available. And we wrapped up our first pollinator plant sale a few weeks ago, which was an online sale at pick up at the conservatory. We had a little shopping in person for some last minute purchases, and it really exceeded our expectations of the number of people we served with that sale. So that was a nice sale. And now some of the other pollinator plants that we grew alongside with that sale, we're busy planting out in our parks. So summer really is a heavy focus for us out in the parks because we take care of our parks' natural areas. We're working alongside volunteers in some of our parks and have just a great dedicated staff. But like many businesses, we are struggling hiring staff. But by the end of June, we will be almost fully staffed again at the conservatory. So that'll be a much needed support for the rest of our staff that has just been working, so hard this past year. The conservatory itself, if you haven't been here for a while, I invite you to come in. It's looking beautiful. As Sue mentioned, we're working on some capital improvement projects now for the remainder of the year, including replacing the polyhouse film, which is the greenhouse where we grow the plants for the plant sale, and a historic door replacement, which is the old entrance at the conservatory. Looking down the road, we're looking at the historic facade, the front of the conservatory, which is in much needed repair and replacement, along with some of our other greenhouse needs for kind of the years coming up ahead. So it's good to kind of be looking to the future instead of living in the moment like we did so much during COVID. Of course, I have to mention the birds. They're doing very well, loving the warm weather in the conservatory. And they're actually going to make their TV appearance tomorrow on Fox News 32 tomorrow at 9 a.m. The conservatory was selected as one of the places you must visit if you come to Oak Park. So I think it's the Conservatory, Frank Lloyd Wright, the movie theater on Lake Street, and Daily Bagel were the, I think that's 4. There might be one I'm missing. I think Poor Phil's, that's where they're going to be filming from tomorrow live. But we are going to be featured on Fox 32 News. So that's exciting. And they just love the birds, of course, when they came here. If you didn't see it, if you missed it, there was a nice article on the conservatory and some of our volunteers that are working alongside with us out at Cheney Mansion in the Wednesday Journal today. So please be sure to check that out. Some great pictures and just a really nice article about the conservatory and what we do here. And actually, to that effect, I actually have a room full of people behind me in the Rubinstein room. The Park District is giving out a community service award to 7 of those volunteers this evening. So I'm gonna hop from this meeting to that meeting and have that nice celebration with those volunteers that have worked so hard with us during COVID last year. They just were a dedicated group of volunteers, as so many of our volunteers are. Our wonderful staff, our partnerships with FOPCON and our volunteers are really the backbone for so much of what we are able to do at the conservatory and out in our parks. And I just want to thank you all for taking the time tonight to listen to us and for supporting and loving the conservatory. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much for joining us, Patty. I know it's so busy tonight, so I'm glad you were here. I'm going to turn it over to our Vice President, and Inga is in charge of our nominating committee as well. So I'm going to invite Inga to join us and handle our process of nominations. That was an electronic ballot this year.
Yes, thank you, Judy. As nominating chair, I get to announce the election of board members. We did send out the ballot via email to members this year, as we did last year. So I'd like to talk about our new board nominee, Michelle Steger. We're happy to have her join the board, and Michelle's with us tonight. Maybe we could spotlight her, and I'd be happy if she would like to give a brief introduction of herself, or I'd be happy to do that too. Michelle?
Hi guys, can you hear me okay? I'm using a headset. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, there you are.
Yeah.
Turn me up a little bit more. Hi, I'm Michelle Steger. Super excited to be on the board. I'm a D97 6th grade language and literature teacher. And we just spent, what was that, last Saturday at the conservatory, where we had Meet the Butterfly Lady. And it was just really, really amazing to be able to be with the kids. What else? I have a 7-year-old son. My husband and I live here in Oak Park, around the corner from Irving, and just super excited to be a part of this opportunity.
Wonderful. Thank you, Michelle. And we have 8 board members whose terms are up this year. And they are, I'll say their names. They're Sue Boyer, Rebecca Callahan, Kayla Chase, Bonnie Engel, Barbara Hunt, Mary Kay Minigan, Mary O'Kearsey, and Linda Smith. And again, the ballots, the slate of nominees went out and we got tallied up the votes. So I move that we elect these nominees to the Friends of the Oak Park Conservatory Board for a term of 2 years ending in 2023. And the results of the votes, we had over 60 responses, and all the nominees received 95% or more votes. So I will congratulate all the nominees and thank them for the new and renewing board members for their service to the board.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Inga. And we are so delighted to have a vibrant and hands-on board to help us continue to move the organization forward. So at this time, I would like to introduce two of our board members who will share maybe a look back. Since we're celebrating our 35th anniversary this year, we really wanted to just reflect for a moment on where our roots began and take a look back at some of the history of the organization, and then also get some perspective on where we're going from here. So I'd like to introduce Ellen Kuhner and Kayla Chase. Ellen is a longtime board member and past president of the organization. So everybody probably knows Ellen. And Kayla is our membership chair. And Kayla is an amazing asset to the organization. She's multi-talented and has partnered with us on every single lecture that we've had for the past year. And boy, do we have some exciting programs coming up for the fall due to Kayla's work. So I'm going to turn it over to you guys, and I'll chime in at the end when we look to the future.
Okay, I am interpreting or commenting on all of this. This is the historical milestone, good morning, milestones of the conservatory. In about 1914, many people decided from Oak Park had gone abroad and brought back plants that they just loved, and they wanted a place to put it. And then finally, about 1927, I'm sorry, the Park District purchased the corner that the conservatory is now located. And in 1929 rather, they built the conservatory. And if you could look at this picture on the left, it's really a lovely conservatory. It was built by a company in Forest Park, and it cost only $26,000, and the Park District had allocated $36,000. So it was nice that they got a bargain from the company in Forest Park. Next slide, please. But we're talking about going through this. During the Depression, workers from this Civilian Conservation Corps, or CCC, worked in the conservatory because it was very hard to get people to do things, and the government was paying their salaries. And in 1933, 9,600 people attended a Mumfest. That's amazing. We don't get numbers like that today. But then the Park District brochure stated in 1952, the most outstanding feature in the Park District is the conservatory, where 4 flower shows are held annually. About 100,000 annual flowers are grown, and all are used for outside planting or in display purposes. But by the late 60s, the conservatory was looking quite like the picture on the left. You can see that there's a gate around it to keep people out of the conservatory. It had fallen into real disrepair. But in 1970, after people were told, no, you can't go there, Elsie Jacobsen, one of the stalwarts of early Oak Park, decided that she thought it was mandatory to maintain the conservatory. There were some thoughts about tearing it down and building a parking lot. She didn't like that at all. She was, as Jenny Casson said, who is a former village clerk here, she was always a lady with panache and humor, stylish with sleeves rolled up to do whatever it took. The epitome of the iron fist in a velvet glove, but warm and caring as no other. Who could say no to Elsie? Well, not very many people. So she took it on. She was head of the Oak Park Beautification Commission and proceeded from there to set up the Save the Garfield Conservatory, not Garfield Park, but the conservatory on Garfield Street. And that was, conservatory was closed April 27th, and Elsie began her project on September 14th. She raised $6,000 in 2 weeks. Goodness. The conservatory was wrapped in plastic to prevent the plants from freezing. And a grand reopening was held in December. 1,500 people attended.
Wow.
Next slide. Here's a picture of Elsie Jacobsen and her husband, Dr. Jacobsen. He was a dentist. And here in 1986, we created the Friends of the Oak Park Conservatory. And here is the state seal saying that we are a 501c3 organization, signed by Jim Edgar, who was formerly a governor, but also at that time, he was Secretary of State. And then if you look on the right, that is a picture of our first logo. It has been, well, anyway, John Anderson designed that. And all sorts of exciting things were done when FOPCON was founded. It was founded by John Seaton and Elvira Rubinstein and Herbert Rubinstein. And all of a sudden, the waterfall was restored and the pool was stocked. Birds appeared. Yes. And all sorts of events. Here's something in 1987, a grand gathering caught in the winter doldrums. Get out of them. Come to the conservatory. Have a good time. And then in 1999 and 2000, decided that really we needed some more space. So here you can see a sign on the left that says, "Help plant the future." And in the center, this is the groundbreaking for the Conservatory Center. And the reception area, the ops room, the Rubinstein room, and it's really terrific. So you can see it going up on the right. Sorry, I'm left-handed, so I sometimes say right when I mean left. But next. And here you can see Elsie Jacobsen about to cut the ribbon. And on the right is Bill Furlong. He was a very early president of FOPCON. And I think he stayed for 10 years, but he was really wonderful and did an awful lot by himself. And so here you can see digging for, in honor of Herbert Rubinstein, we built a memorial garden. You can see digging for the garden and then a large rock, which says, this is the Herbert M. Rubinstein Memorial Garden. And we also had a big garden gala when it opened. And there is a picture of the invitation for that. Yes. And then in 2015, we built the Elsie Jacobsen Discovery Garden, which is just a wonderful place. Kids love it, and so do adults. And the area over there was always just sort of empty. And there was a small perennial garden there, but this is truly wonderful and kids love it. We also this year put in some new equipment. It's a wonderful beehive on the left, which looks like kids just love running inside and out. And then 3 bells. If you hit them with mallets, you can see the green mallets on the right, they sound wonderful. They make wonderful music. And it's quiet enough that it doesn't bother the neighbors, nor does it bother the fire station across the street. Next. And here's a picture of Elvira Rubinstein. Both John Seton and Elvira Rubinstein were born in Wales. And they had quite a very wonderful relationship, and Elvira had all sorts of things to do with FOPCON. And then on the right, you can see a picture of John and Elvira working together. And this bud's for you. I think they were talking about the plant sale. In fact, the first plant sale was in 1989, and it was at that time called the Herb Fest, the Herb Sale, I'm sorry. And if you were John Seton, you would have said it was the Herb Sale. That's British. So next. And here we have people on the first board. If you look at the left, that's John Seton, Barbara Ballinger, who many of you, I'm sure you remember John, but Barbara Ballinger was head of the public library in Oak Park for many, many years. And then the other gentleman is Paul O'Kelly, who was the first treasurer, although he claimed he wasn't on the board, he was just the treasurer. And then the other picture is Bill Furlong and Dr. Rubinstein. And here's some more past leaders. These are all presidents, Sandy Lenz, Judy Shepelak, and Andrea Green. And to give you another idea of who all these people were, I thought I had a list. Too many papers here. But Judy Sandy followed Judy. And then Andrea followed
Sandy.
Andrea followed Sandy. I followed Andrea. And then the next person who followed me was Heather. And then now we have Sue. And that goes back about 20 years, I think. I tried to calculate how many years it had been for all of those people. There are also some other people we probably should probably list. People who were on the first board, including one who is still very active in both the Garden Club and FOPCON. So I'll read down the list of other people that I haven't mentioned. But Patricia Cullen, Eunice Frazier, Miles Frazier, Maria and Peter Lycos, Paula Nelson, Mary Triska, and finally, Mary Ellen Warner. So we have contributed a lot. Lead abatement projects in the conservatory, 17,000 toward the Poly House. That was in 1990. We've also contributed, I think it's about $17,000 this year to recladding the Poly House, 200,000 toward construction of the addition in 2000, and $200,000 additional for furnishing, about $65,000 for pipe replacement, $400,000 for the development of the Discovery Garden, and roughly, I think it was about $18,000 for the bells. And alone, 126 volunteers provided 496 hours of service, valued at $134,966. And that is amazing because 2020 was the year of COVID. To think that we had that many hours contributed is to say bravo. Now, Judy is on.
Yes. Thank you so much. I am fascinated. That was such a great historical look back at this organization, stories and pictures I've never seen. So thank you so much to Ellen and Kayla for putting this presentation together. I'm so glad you mentioned Judy Sheplak because I had the delight of meeting with her just a few weeks ago. And it was Judy Sheplak who worked on a program that we are now just bringing to fruition this year. It's called the Legacy Society, and this is something that I am thrilled to announce we are on the cusp of introducing. And basically, it's a planned giving program so that people who are dedicated to this organization can help instill the organization for the future. And it is a way for people to work with their estate planning to make a bequest from a will or a trust or a retirement plan. There's many different ways that people can give to support the Friends of the Oak Park Conservatory so that we can continue our mission of providing education programs and grants to the conservatory and all the wonderful things that we do as an organization. So watch for more information coming very soon. Our brochure is just about ready to go, and I was able to preview it with Judy just a few weeks ago, and she is thrilled that we are finally able to get this launched. So that's one of the first programs I wanted to mention tonight. Another one is something that Sue mentioned at the very beginning of the presentation, and it is a bus grant opportunity that we created. We actually received a grant to launch this program, and it's really a way for the Friends of the Oak Park Conservatory to acknowledge we have this treasure in Oak Park of the conservatory and try to extend the resources and all the education that we have to offer to underserved communities. And one of the hurdles that we discovered was that doing a field trip costs a lot of money for a school, and they have to pay for a bus. And so we wanted to create an opportunity for schools to be able to apply for a grant to pay for the cost of the bus, and then they could bring their students to the conservatory. And so this was all prepared and hoping to launch last year, but then we ran into this thing called the pandemic, and everything kind of got shut down. So we don't know exactly when schools will be ready to do in-person field trips again, but we are forming a committee to set up the criteria for this program, and we hope to pilot it in the next school year. So we're super excited about that. And if you want to learn more, let me know, or you want to participate in it, please let me know. And then finally, I want to share another program that we are doing with about a dozen community organizations. It came about when Sue Boyer and I met with members of the board from West Cook Wild Ones. And because it was our 35th anniversary and we were coming out of this pandemic, we all attached to this idea of the year of the butterfly. And it just took off. Everybody wanted to be part of it. And so people like organizations like the Village of Oak Park, the Park District of Oak Park, both libraries from Oak Park and River Forest, the high school, the middle schools, in addition to Wild Ones, Trailside Museum, Wonderworks, and many others all came together to support the Illinois Monarch Project in our kickoff and put together a whole summer jam-packed full of, oh, the Garden Club, I should mention, is also doing programming and giving away. All these organizations came together and we organized an entire summer worth of programming and education, helping people understand the importance of pollinators, their role they play in our gardens, and how we can educate people to cultivate more habitats to support these pollinators. And so we have 2 more events coming up. I think Nichelle mentioned that she participated in the one last Saturday. And so we have another one coming up in July where we will be hosting the Trailside Museum at the Conservatory. And then in August, we will be partnering with Wonderworks, which just reopened, and they will be coming to the Conservatory as well. So we are excited to be part of this, and you can learn more about the Year of the Butterfly on our website. I think that's all I have. Yeah. I think I'm just going to go to see if anybody wants to unmute and ask us any questions, and then we'll get to announcements and adjournment. Patty is not here, so if you have something specific about the conservatory to ask, we can either jot it down and have her get back to you, or we can put you in touch with her. But we made it to 35 years, and I wish that we could be doing this celebration in person. As I was describing earlier to some of our board, and when I was meeting with Andrea, I was like, we should be having music and celebration and, you know, in person, and maybe next year we can get there. Oh, I see Heather's on. Heather is our immediate past president, and nice to see her on this program. Any questions anybody has? Any thoughts on what we have coming up for the future? Okay, hi Barbara, how are you? Go ahead.
Hi there. I just wanted to say thank you to the conservatory for sponsoring that very labor intensive collection of plastic bags. It felt so much better to me to be bringing my bags to the conservatory and knowing that they were being channeled to that effort to provide the benches in Austin. And I know, as I said, huge, super labor intensive, but thank you. And I know it ended on the 15th.
Yes.
But I really appreciated that initiative. So thanks.
Thank you so much, Barbara. You know, it was a labor of love, and I can announce that I believe when we started the project in mid-March, we collected, as of yesterday, about 2,300 pounds of plastic in less than 4 months. I mean, it's insane. And that means that about 4 organizations will be earning benches eventually. At least 3 I know we have earned. So it was a huge undertaking, and I am delighted that the Park District and the Conservatory looked at this as a sustainability opportunity, and they have been so great about wanting to really bring sustainability to the forefront. And so this just kind of fit right in. But yes, it was labor intensive. Thanks for reminding me.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, Heather. Anybody else want to say hello? I see Don's name. Hi, Don. Anybody else want to ask any questions or comments? Otherwise, we'll get to announcements and adjournment. Good. We got a nice cozy group. Okay. Announcements. Sue, do you want to handle announcements, or would you like me to?
Sure, I can handle them if I can remember all of the many things that are going on. Okay. But my very favorite, of course, is the garden walk just coming up on June 27th. We have 9 wonderful gardens out there. And one of them actually is a commercial kind of place, I guess you could say. It's a public place. So they're in Oak Park, they're in River Forest. You can't walk, but you can ride your bike if you want to. Tickets are still available for members of the Garden Club and for FOPCON. Remember, you have a reduced member ticket at $13. So please get them now, because on the 27th, all tickets go up to $20 each. And we're hoping for good weather. And there are some very exciting gardens out there, and they're quite eclectic, as they usually are every year. So that's one of the things that's happening, along with all the butterfly items that will be coming up. And that next one in July is which date, Julie?
July 10th.
July 10th. It's okay, so make sure that gets on your calendar, because they're doing a lot of exciting things. That was a very interesting group to work with. I was just fascinated with the number of people who jumped on the butterfly train, so to speak. Yeah. And there's a lot of things coming up. I know the Garden Club has done some things at the farmers market. I know they're going to be handing out some items at the garden walk, because as you know, we co-sponsor that with the garden club. Other things coming up this summer, Uncorked. We're back to almost full capacity on Uncorked, and that's going to be on June 25th, 2 days before the garden walk. So that'll get you ready for the whole weekend. Again, we're going to have music. We are using local vendors. I think it's Oak Park Brewery is our beer distributor. And then I'm sorry, is it Atros? They're the wine store that opened on Marion fairly recently during the pandemic. So they're going to be providing some of the wine. And so we have a lot of things going on this summer, because there'll be 2 more coming up, one in August as well, one in July, August, and September.
I think I'd love to chime in and mention a couple of other things that you may not know about for fall, since the fall brochure from the Park District doesn't come out for another little while. So I'm in addition to the Uncorked event that's happening in September, Fall Fest will be returning this year on September 26th. So that is we modified it last year, but that's the big pumpkin festival, and they shut down east by Ream. Ream Park will be completed with their construction in early September, and so it'll be a big fall festival. And also in September, we are having a Dahlia presentation via Zoom. So that is exciting. And then Kayla has also put together for October, maybe November, we've got a program on African violets, orchids, and then are we doing the mushrooms, Kayla? Yeah, we are doing mushrooms. So our fall lineup is phenomenal. These happen to all be virtual programs at this time, because when we were planning them, everything was still, in shutdown and uncertain. And so we have these amazing programs that Kayla has worked so hard to put together. So, and this is really based on input from our members. We do a member survey after every lecture that we do, and hot topics, right? These are hot topics everybody's interested in. So we also have another Get the Dirt program coming up on July 20th. So that's coming up in a couple of weeks from now. And that will be featuring Don Necrocious and Sandy Lenz as our expert gardeners on that talk. So please register for that. Those have been the most fabulous experience. If you haven't watched them on our YouTube channel, and Barbara, you were at one of them.
Yes, yes.
Bring all of your garden questions, and Don and Sandy do the most amazing. It's very entertaining and educational at the same time. So that is on Zoom, July 20th. And we'll be in the midst of, how are our tomatoes doing? And you can ask any of your variety of garden questions. So anything else, Sue?
Oh, you might want to mention the fact that although we don't have a date yet, there is going to be a volunteer recognition coming up. Barb Hunt, who I forgot to mention, who is a board member and chair of our volunteer committee, is working on that. So watch your emails for that, because we'd love to have all of you there.
Yes, in person. We're talking in person.
Right, in person.
Yes, Barbara.
Yes, I missed the first part of the meeting, so maybe this was already mentioned, but I thought the perennial swap and tool exchange that happened was really as great as ever. So thank you again for sponsoring that. There's so much conviviality, even the lineup, we're waiting to get in, and the people in the line are exchanging information. Sue was going down the line expressing thanks to everybody for being there. So it was just a really nice community event.
Thank you so much for that comment. It reminds me, we have a second one of those coming back in the fall on September 11th. All the things.
I will be there.
Okay, good. Yeah, and we've been doing the pot recycling from the garden pots. And so, we're trying new things. And I think that that's, the best part of returning back to a little bit of normal, is that we're able to kind of test out some new practices. Okay, so that was a lot of announcements. Got a lot going on. Sue, anything else you want to add?
I don't think I have anything at this point, except next year's annual meeting will be on June 16th. So put it on your calendars now. And we'll probably be face to face at that point, provided everything goes the way it should go.
Wow.
So we want to thank you all for coming this evening. And thank you to Kayla and to Ellen Cooner, who
Great.
put together that great program, and to all of you who have worked so hard on the organization, including Judy, who's helped us through a lot of different challenges that we had to face this year.
And thank you, Sue, for being at my side for sure. And this amazing. Okay,